There's so many wildflowers in bloom right now. I just had to come out and take some video. It's been a really nice spring. It's been fairly wet. I mean, wet by Central Texas standards. And so the wildflowers have hung around. For the spring wildflowers have hung around a little bit longer. The summer wildflowers like the flame acanthus, the plumbago are starting to come out. So we've got this interesting mix. Usually right now, there are very few wildflowers in bloom right now. There's just kind of a weird 3-week period of transition. But the additional spring clouds has really allowed the wildflowers to prosper. Let's go take a look. Indian blanket up here. This has come out pretty well. You can see a big long line of it up there, all the way down, all along the street. It kind of grows on the granite. So I put granite berms up here several years ago, and it sticks to the granite. You can see it's not really in the clay. There's some years it grows in the clay, but mostly in the granite. This is a native larkspur. I only buy the blue ones, but occasionally they come out white like this, and the blue is really a violet. Probably our soil, I guess. Regardless, these are larkspurs, and they're coming out pretty well. They seem to like, I've got them in a couple different areas here, and they seem to like the shade a lot better.
You were well camouflaged there in the shadow of your hat.
I look good, huh? My gunny suit.
You were hard to see.
Here we have some plumbago, South African plant. Really like the way this plant looks in this environment. These ones I just planted. That one too. And I just really like that look. And just really, they kind of cascade down the hill. I sure love this environment right here. This is Yucca rostrata that is under attack from aphids. I've sprayed it. I'm going to spray it again today, but it's definitely under attack from aphids. So we got to get rid of those guys. This Yucca rostrata is, I don't know, 5 years old here. You can see the standing cypress. These are kind of a rare wildflower. They grow pretty well in this yard. They come out, you can see them right there. It takes 2 years typically from seed for them to bloom. So I think this year is going to be a pretty amazing year. You can see them all back here. I mean, there's a whole field of them over there. So I think it's going to be a pretty amazing year for standing cypress. And there's not that many better hummingbird plants than standing cypress and flame acanthus. The standing cypress is so thin. You see how thin this is. That's it right there. Fully grown, that's it. I mean, it's just tall, right? So I let them grow wherever they want. They don't take up a lot of room. They just kind of stick up like a spire. These are Salvia greggii. Really like this color and this red. I got 7 from my neighbor. Propagated a whole bunch of them. Now there's, I think, I don't know, 15 or 17 here, something like that. There's a whole bunch right up front. And next year they'll all be mature, and it should grow really well. There's this front row here. It's their 2nd year. So, you know, 1 more year, and I think they'll all show off. Everything will be looking pretty good. This is my favorite sage. It is a Texas sage, one of my favorite plants. This thing is tough as nails, requires no water, no care, and it lives on, I think, 6 to 7 inches of water a year in a very arid Pecos Valley region. This one is a green cloud. I've got 3 or 4 different varieties of Texas sage here. This one's a green cloud. It's kind of green. You can tell there's the other version. It's kind of looks white or silver over there, versus this leaf over here that's kind of green. So green cloud is supposed to get bigger, but it's really gotten wider. Maybe because it doesn't get ideal light. There's a huge oak tree to the left, and that oak tree kind of blocks the sun. So I don't know. It's kind of bushing out, but it sure is a great plant. It's also known as the rain plant, Leucophyllum. I really, really love this sage. Coming up here, we got some Mexican bush sage all up this row here. And the Mexican bush sage are great border plants. They grow really rapidly. They beat out the Bermuda pretty easily. after the first year, obviously, and they bloom great. Some years they bloom twice, some years only once. My plants are not mature yet because these are I think this is all of their third year. So they're just now starting to get a mature year, but once they're mature, you can get 2 blooms out of them, I have found. Coming over here, more Indian blanket, just Indian blanket everywhere. It's really, honestly, it's a distraction for the bluebonnets. Right now, you can kind of see right there's a bluebonnet left. There's a whole bunch of bluebonnets left. The dead spots, those are bluebonnets. They look really ratty right now, and you have to let them go to seed. As you can see, these seed pods haven't even opened yet. I just opened that one. You know what I'm saying? So you have to let them open, and so they look pretty ratty when they're not open. I needed a distraction, so that's why these are up front and hoping to just draw attention away from the ratty looking bluebonnets. It does a pretty good job. You can see a larkspur, lone larkspur up there. I tried larkspur in the full sun, because that's what it says on the package, full sun. Just because something says full sun doesn't mean full Texas sun, I'll tell you that much. A lot of things cannot take full Texas sun. They might mean full Kansas sun, or they might mean full Delaware sun. They are not talking about full Texas sun. I put this in full Texas sun, it is scraggly, barely surviving. I put thousands of seeds out over in this area over a 4 to 5 year period when I was under construction, and I got one. That's what I got to show for it. But this is a victory for sure. It doesn't always work, but this is a victory. This is Esperanza. These are homegrown Esperanzas, my own homegrown Esperanzas. I had a whole bunch of Esperanzas here, I don't know, like 7, 8, 9. And I noticed that there was one that was constantly in bloom, and then a whole bunch that weren't in bloom, and then some that were sometimes in bloom. Well, the one that was constantly in bloom, I took cuttings of, and sure enough, it's always in bloom. I mean, as soon as it starts, it's always in bloom. And so I took a bunch of cuttings of it, I don't know, like 15 cuttings. And so all of my Esperanzas now are these Esperanzas, whatever Esperanza this is. And oh wow, there's a locust, solid. That's a really big locust too. The locusts seem to be bad right now, and yeah, whatever. Not really much you can do about that. The Mexican bush sage again. This is my border plant. This is my hell strip right here. A Mexican bush sage Esperanza Prado Barbados combo. You can see I've got, these are really misplaced. I thought they'd do okay. I thought the Prado Barbados would shade them, but I just get too much sun out here. They should be in really full, nasty, furry, not nasty, full furry bloom right now. They are not. This is the Mexican oregano right here, and they're not. It's an herbaceous plant. It's supposed to come back better and better every year, and it should look all like this right now. Like the whole plant should be covered in these flowers right now, and it is not. These are just not enjoying this area, so need to move these. You see the Prado Barbados just starting to come out, everybody's favorite. That's why it's on the corner. And then over here, I planted some new Mexican bush sage. I had some Mexican mint marigolds, but they just didn't like this. This area right here gets more sun than any area in my yard, right here. Sun up to sundown, there's no coverage from anything, it's just right in this spot. So I had to have something tough. So I'm hoping the Prado Barbados and the Mexican bush sage will work together to maintain a strong border for this bed. And just keep it going. Now this is my favorite Texas sage. I just love the coloring on it. Leucophyllum. This is El Dorado. And I don't know if you can see the color. I don't know if it picks it up. This is a Silverado. You can see the leaves are a little bit different. They're closer together. They're a slightly different color. This is El Dorado. Silverado El Dorado. Yes, I know this one's more silver, more white. I like this one. And so same thing I did with Esperanza. I just propagated a bunch of these. And all of these are from one plant. And I'm propagating a bunch more too because I just love this. It's almost a white look right here on the corner. Really silver contrast. Over top of it, I've got a Mexican willow. I really like this Mexican willow. Love the scent. Gosh, I wish you could smell the scent. Flowers are beautiful too. You know, after about the second year, it did require care for the first couple of years, but after about the second year, requires no care, no water. I'm taking a whole bunch of them to Houston just because they happen to look amazing. These oak trees have grown so much. This is my office, my outdoor office. And these oak trees have grown so much since I got here. All I feed them is coffee grounds. Go to Starbucks, get a bunch of coffee grounds. And I've got a little office under there that we'll walk into here, a little teaser. This is a Salvia microphylla. It's not quite getting enough sun here. Might have to move it. It is a canyon sage. And so it's made for a canyon environment. But again, this is kind of growing down into it right now. And so it's not really getting enough light. The canyon sage is different from the Salvia greggii. I can't quite take the heat. I also love that it's a hot lips variety. Love the red and white just starting to come out. This is what I'm talking about, the mix of flowers. This is a summer flower just starting to come out, and the spring flowers are going away. So canyon sage is there. Mountain laurel. That's one nice large mountain laurel. It was one of the first plants that I bought. And it's about 6 or 7 years old, or 6 or 7 years it's been here. It's probably like a 12-year-old plant. This is a sweet almond verbena. And if a scent had a picture, this would be beautiful. It is such a beautiful scent. I love it. Argentinian plant, tough as nails, comes back every year. You can leave it out and some of the branches will come back, but you know, if you just cut it back every year, it's not even July 1 and this stuff is 7 feet tall. So it grows very rapidly in the heat. This is the office. Check this out. This is my satellite office, one of them. Isn't that awesome? Those are my oak trees. 2 of them. They were not this big when I got here. You can see they were trimmed up. You can see all the branches are trimmed up. And I've just let the branches grow long so that they act as walls. The street comes there. You can't see any cars come there. There's a yucca rostrata. There's a branch and there's a bunch of bushes there. Same thing over here. From my bench, traffic comes up the street and can't see me there. There's a branch there. There's branches across the street. And I'm sitting behind the trunk of this tree and traffic doesn't even know I'm there. Over here, traffic coming this way. All those Texas sages are a block for this office right here. That's what it is. And so they screen this view so that I can sit here unencumbered. And actually, I could probably cut some of those branches because I don't need them anymore. The Texas sage is taking that over. This corner bed right here really acts as a screen for pedestrians quite well if I'm sitting in my bench here. It's a great screen. So everything's kind of set up and I've let it grow a little shaggy. I'll probably trim it up this year, but I let it grow a little shaggy so that it acts as a screen. You see I've got a screen from over there from my benches right here. I've got a screen over there. Sweet almond verbena acts as a screen over there and it just smells beautiful when people get out of the car there. And this is the view when I'm sitting down here. Just beautiful wildflower plants, tropical sage. Also have wild petunias, violet wild petunias, and the plumbago looks beautiful with the esperanza. It just plays really well. I love the color combination. And then when you add the Pride of Barbados in there, the oranges over there, orange, blue, yellow, it just looks, I just really like that color combo. So this is my office under here. Front door is right there. I've got a router right in that window, so I got pretty good coverage. I mean, the router's 30 yards away. It's pretty good coverage. Not even that, 20 yards away. Pretty good coverage. That's an old cedar root that I pulled out of the Onion Creek and brought it up here. And it just kind of looks cool. I just have it there, just for show. So these are wild chives. I put wild chives in places where deer used to sleep. And there, when I moved in, there used to be a herd of deer that slept right here in this spot. So I planted wild chives there. And guess what? They moved. They really don't like this stuff. So there's wild chives in several spots. There's some wild chives over there. There's several spots around here with wild chives. And it's because deer hate them. So I planted them. I grew a whole bunch, like 18 of them from seed. And anywhere there were deer, I'd go plant like 3 to 5 of them, and just overrun the deer. They just hate it. Within a week, not even a week, within 3 to 5 days, they would move on. They just don't like the smell. So again, Mexican bush sage in the back of the Texas sage. At nighttime, this thing is just lit up with that insect activity. Moths and lizards. There's lizards that sleep on these and all kinds of stuff. The Flamacanthus is just a habitat monster. There are so many things that love this Flamacanthus. Right now, I'll tell you one thing I don't like is red wasps. But one thing I don't mind at all, famous last words before I get my butt stung off, is yellow jackets. Yellow jackets have always seemed to leave me alone unless I go mess with them. There's a nest, a big yellow jacket nest right there. And you know what? They're keeping the red wasps away. The red wasps won't even really mess with the Flamacanthus. Usually this is a red wasp hub. There's so many red wasps around here. I think it has to be the yellow jackets, because you'll see 1 or 2, but there are no red wasps around here. And if you really look around the Flamacanthus, there are yellow jackets that are walking all over it, and they're just kind of stationed on the outside that are watching. So I think it's really keeping the red wasps away. But I really like that kind of insect activity here. I think it's good. Mexican bush sage, and this is a Jerusalem sage. It's getting huge. This is 3 plants that have really ballooned into something big, and you can see the yellow flower there. It's one of my favorite wildflowers. This one is going out. It's going out for the year, but it's an evergreen. It'll stay that color, and kind of smells like soap. Interesting. This is a fragrant mist flower. It is fragrant, all right. I don't like the fragrance. This is a butterflower garden, and there's a specific kind of butterfly that only likes this. I think it's some sort of swallowtail, or I don't know, fuzzy-billed, zebra-footed swallowtail or something like that. I don't know. And that's the only reason it's here. I don't like the smell. I was told to put it kind of in a fringe area. You can see it's perfect fringe right now. It gets sun and shade. That's where I was told to put it. I knew I had a sunline spot right here, a spot right on the sunline. And so, man, this thing is giant. It's about a 4 or 5 year old plant. They're right. There's a huge butterfly that's like almost the size of my palm that comes up in here just for this plant. Doesn't visit anything else. I mean, it'll land other places, but it doesn't like buzz around the flowers and stuff. Ooh, there's a hummingbird fight. Yep, hummingbird right up there. They really, really love the flowers. That's what it's here for. It's a pollinator garden for them. And there's really not a battle over this garden. All the hummingbirds will let each other feed in the garden, and they just kind of respect the space until the Flamacanthus comes bloom. When this Flamacanthus comes bloom, the hummingbirds are super territorial over it. These are sedums and succulents that are on a planter. I love this little planting here. I'll take this with me when I leave the house. It's in a nice pot there and everything, and it just looks beautiful. This is a sable minor, one of my favorite plants. I have 3 sable minors here under a Mexican white oak. And this is also known as a Monterey oak, Monterey. And nice sable minor blooms with the Monterey oak. And yes, it's planted under the canopy of the other oak, but honestly, in a forest, it would grow just fine. This is a replacement tree for this oak. This oak here those are just dead branches from a storm. That oak's actually really healthy, but it's been chopped up over the years. The foundation here, really cut into its roots that way. There's a pipeline over there underneath there. It was built 35 years ago that, cut some roots that way. There's a plumbing supply hole that goes this way. So it's kind of been boxed in to this area. It only probably has extensive roots in this area. I have found they do regrow roots, but, it grows like an oak tree. It takes time. And so I planted this as a replacement tree. It's further away from the house. You can see this is pretty close to the house, and while that's charming at all, it means we constantly have to keep this thing trimmed. Like every 2 years we have to get this thing trimmed. But out here, you know, if this thing has 5 or 10 years to grow before this oak dies or, you know, gets sick or whatever, then this oak wilt resistant tree will take over. So it's a replacement. Bird bath. It's dry. I let it dry out for a day between waterings so that mosquitoes don't get in. So I'll leave it water for 2 or 3 days, and then as soon as I see bugs in there, you know, you can see them floating around and stuff and moving around. As soon as I see it, I empty it. So this is my dry day. This is a black and blue sage. Again, one of my favorites. I just wish it was thicker. Doesn't really grow thick. I mean, it'll be in bloom, but never in full bloom. That is a stunningly beautiful color. This is a variety of majestic sage. You can't buy it from seed. It's only available by cutting. I have 2 populations of them established, one here and one in Houston. And yeah, I really like it. I really appreciate it. Plumbago. This is the back side of the plumbago back here, and the standing cypress. So you can kind of see the yard. It looks really, I mean, I'm very, very pleased with it. It just is really, really coming along well. Over here, we've got a couple of mountain laurels. These were planted by a friend of mine who committed suicide. So I'm really trying to let these grow. I've got several of them planted in different areas and hope none of them gets hit or anything, a dead branch or anything like that. Again, another succulent pot here. This one's kind of hurting. I took a bunch of succulents out of there for a project with my kiddos, but yes, succulent plant. Pride of Barbados, plumbago. Again, I just love this combo right here. It looks really nice. The plumbago, this is its 3rd year. So again, it's you know, starting to mature. Next year it'll be fully mature. And this year it should be, you know, pretty full. A 3rd year plant should be pretty full. So really looking forward to July, at least in the garden. So the Mexican mint marigold has all been moved over here. It seems to like this spot a lot better. It's going to hold the border right here. It's going to be a beautiful fall bloom when all of these things have gone out. This will come in. And I've had to move several transplants over this year because several died in the freeze. And oh wow, it looks like that one's going to die right now. That one looks pretty hurting. I should probably water that like yesterday. I didn't even notice that. So yeah, that's what's going on in this section. We already discussed that. And over here is a boxwood. It's huge. I like it, but I got to cut it. It's covering the sign there. You know, this is the exact reason I have this plant here. You can see the butterfly there. This is Greg's Mistflower, and Greg's Mistflower is, I mean, it might as well be called hummingbird heroin. It is so addictive, or I'm sorry, hummingbird heroin, butterfly crack, butterfly heroin. This is so addictive to butterflies. They love it. Grows wild here. Grows without need for water or care. And it's called Greg's Mistflower. I have it here on this side because I didn't want it close to the street because it does attract so many butterflies. There's a monarch right there. Over here we have a little succulent garden, and also I've got I got a whole bunch of these. These are native poinsettias. These are Texas native poinsettias. Ah, there's one in bloom right there. Texas native poinsettia. Kind of a cool bloom. I mean, it's not the big red bloom, and it'll get a little bit more red than that, but that's pretty much the bloom on it. And I've got a whole bunch of them in here. I keep them in here because they can get out of control, really. But it's beautiful. I love to see them. And I've got a bunch of succulents planted in here too. The kiddos and I do a project every year that requires plants. So I got a bunch of plants and succulents. This is bamboo muley. Bamboo muley grass is kind of cool. I mean, I didn't really know what to put there. It's kind of cool. It's an okay spot. There's a lot of things I could put there, but nah, it's an okay spot. I think that's the entire, oh no, we have not done the side. See all the succulents? I should probably pause on these because I do have some pretty good succulents here. It's not awesome, but it's is not bad either. It's all cut up right now because it took all of them to, kiddos project. So over here, we have chili patine garden. I have about 40 chili patines over here. They are protected by a motion detector water cannon. You move, you're dead. And, well, it'll drench you anyway. It's pretty good too. You can see that there was a little bit of eating. You can see especially that one had been eaten a little bit, and that's how I knew the batteries were dead. Came out here one day, it was eaten. Because the deer really don't come close to this thing. So I love chili patines. I like the flavor, I like the plant. They require no maintenance. How can you not like that? And they grow in the shade. Look what's growing around here. I just want to show it. Just look. Nothing. There's nothing growing. Those are cedar elm saplings. There's nothing growing around here. There's like a patch of 12 random monkey grasses. That right there, there's 3, 4, 5 patches of St. Augustine. Give me a break. There's nothing grows over here, but the chili patines flourish. So I really, really appreciate that. This is an American beeberry. And you can see the bloom on it. It's a very slight bloom. You definitely don't get it for the bloom, but these blooms are crazy. It is going to have so many berries on it this year. That's what you get it for. You get it for the berries. You can see the berries are forming up here, right there. OMG. Look at all the berries forming right there. This is going to be a great year for American Beautyberry, I think. Although it's going to be hot. We're not out of summer yet. It's going to be a hot year. Over there, a couple more mountain laurels. Again, those were from my friend who committed suicide. This is Agrita. And I thought it would like it here, and it really doesn't so much like me at all. It's growing a little bit, but it's like its 5th year here. This thing should be 4 feet tall by now. It's hardly surviving. So, yeah. We do have a living fence going on over here. And it's all different stuff, just because I wanted it to blend, right? Yopon holly that's very established. It grew up, fell over, so now it's got 2 shoots growing out of it right here. So it's kind of pretty wide, actually. I'm kind of liking that. It's going to have 2 crowns. And then I've got an Eve's necklace that's actually finally starting to put on height. This year it put on about 2 feet of growth. In the past it's put on like 6 inches every year. That plant over there is probably 6 years old. And it's 5 feet tall. It's very slow growing. 6 years it's been here. It was probably 3, 4 years old when I got it. So it's, I don't know, probably 10 years old. It's like 4 or 5 feet tall. So I'm hoping it gets big. These are, oh my gosh, I cannot remember what they're called. Shrub. They are, gosh, I can't even remember what they're called. Anyway, it's part of the living fence. I'm hoping that, see, the fence I need is like this, right? So they'll grow up like this, and then there'll be a pass-through. This will grow out like about right here. So there'll be a pass-through over here. There's a shrub right there. See right there? Bam. And that one will grow up like that. Oops. I want to grow up kind of like that, so that'll get that big, and this will get that big, and there'll be a little pass-through right there. There you have it. Man, it's a lot of work. This was all grass when I moved in here. And I'm really pleased with it. Beautiful, beautiful wildflower.